The following podcast is brought to you exclusively by the Rad Rob Radio Network. He's a member of wrestling royalty. His repertoire and skills in the ring are unmatched. He's always been loyal, trustworthy, and has a work ethic that is unparalleled. He's been bashed by his peers, by the media, and even by the fans. But he's living proof that our worst days do not define us, and neither can other people. Welcome to Rebuilding the Foundation with Teddy Hart.
Hey guys, welcome back to Rebuilding the Foundation with Teddy Hart. This is episode number 7, and I'm your host, Rad Rob, Rob Francois, joined by the man, the myth, the legend, the incomparable, Mr. Teddy Hart. Good evening, sir.
How are you, my friend? Thanks for the wonderful introduction and consistency with this podcast. I'm sorry to my fans out there. We've been doing a lot of stuff and traveling, and now I'm relocated to Tampa, spending some more time with my sister, potentially maybe with my family. I'm not sure what's going on with my comeback wrestling wise. Like I say, I'm training just to get in shape more than anything right now, and trying to find out a little more about peptides and a few of these products that my friends in Canada have been working on. I haven't been home in 6.5 years, like I say, except for once for a show. So I have a lot of friends that have been working on peptides and different supplements and DNA testing, and so I'm very excited about getting my DNA tested and to find out what I should really be eating. That's something I'm working on. And then got a few other projects that are maybe coming to fruition with my clothing line, working on finally getting a factory in Houston that can make this stuff, basically cut to sew, so I can take orders one at a time and I don't have to have a huge inventory of stuff sitting there besides just what I need and the fabric that I want to buy personally for myself. The rest will be stuff that fans can order or customers can order, and then I will have that basically shipped to my company, and I will make that right after they set up their orders. So hopefully that's something I've been wanting to do for years, but it was so hard to get stuff done in India and China, or to do one by one with the ladies that I was working with. They're so busy anyway, so getting one outfit a week from them is a lot for myself, let alone to try to do 3 or 4 orders a week. Like I said, my goal is not to do, it's not huge. My expectations are like the podcast. If I can get 100 people on the podcast to listen to it every week, and people have a good time, and I get some friends out of it, or relationships start or continue to grow, that I'm happy. Just want to shout out to Drake that he's, I know he had an injury recently, and you're in my prayers, my friend, and I know how dangerous it is coming back. That's the risk poor Shane McMahon had just happened to him recently when he go back after a few years of being off. And hats off to the guys that do come back and they're able to have these great matches. I thought Edge did a tremendous job when he came back, having matches that I did better than he ever had before. I thought for sure way more technical, and reminded me kind of like a Benoit Jericho cross almost. It was really the best of both of them, and I didn't know Edge was that good. I knew he was good, but I didn't know he was that good. I consider some of those matches, one with Randy Orton, I think, and him another one with AJ Styles. Both those were tremendous. So just out there to guys that are trying to make the comeback again. This is a story about life and hardships and suffering and adversity, and not finding a way to never give up and to stay positive. So just to Drake out there, please, you're in my prayers, and hopefully you guys can, if it's possible, I don't know. I don't know, like I say, just whatever prayer's worth to everybody out there, that this is the most important time for fans and friends of him to get behind him and let him know how much we love him and that we're concerned. Sorry, my sister, she doesn't realize what a podcast is, I don't think.
Drake Younger, a.k.a. Drake Wirtz, was injured in the King of the Deathmatch tournament at XPW California 2 a few weeks ago. He wrestled 4 matches in one night. Ended up breaking his back. He had 3 vertebrae broken in his back. Had to have emergency surgery a day or two later because he couldn't move. And the first day, you never know, right? It's just bumps and just normal. Be like, yeah, all right, my back's a little sore, whatever, it'll go away. But it didn't go away. So he's out of work. He's got a meal train started for him. Follow him on Facebook. under Drake Wirtz, and support his family. Find a link for the meal train, and which is kind of like a GoFundMe thing. You can donate money or food or whatever. So they got twins coming up on the way here in a couple of months. So he's in a bad spot. But thank you for mentioning that, Ted. It's he's CTW Hall of Famer. He's in the best shape of his life and having a lot of fun with Rob Black and XPW. And it's just one of those things, could have been wear and tear. Could have been just a bad bump. I mean, I'm more in the line the fact that it was just years of abuse and bumps. So you never know when your bump card's going to be up and you're going to get hurt. It's just it's really unfortunate. He was in a good spot, man. He was really doing fantastic work for XPW.
Yeah, I was thinking again. Very difficult for me to get work and to try to make a comeback. I was kind of excited about trying to work something out. Maybe have him come to Canada, or maybe him and Jasmine come to Canada and do something for one of the groups I'm working with up there potentially, and then try to get back and see if there would be an opportunity with someone like Rob Black. If a couple people maybe were vouching for me. I don't know how that whole thing situation works. Like I say, I've never met him personally. I mean, if I have, it was very briefly.
Yeah. Are you still in contact with Court Bauer at all? Or, I mean, did you kind of leave on good terms there?
I never left on any terms. It was one of those ones where they had gotten spooked by anonymous phone calls to people in Tampa.
Yeah.
And someone was calling MLW, and right when I started to get the push, to my fault, I did miss a show because I had lost, and this is my, again, stupidity, but I had lost my passport. And it was terrible timing because they were giving me a big push and I was supposed to go to Mexico, and I had no permission to go to Mexico from my probation anyway. They had not cleared me to go. I had asked for permission and they had never got back to me. So I was just going to try to go anyway. But in retrospect, maybe, it would have been really bad if I had gone and something had happened, because it would have violated my probation with a travel violation of that level or that capacity. It may have completely actually fucked me. So I ended up not being able to make that show, and that was really bad for what I think the history or the reputation that I had created. Again, some of it with people don't realize the amount of work that it takes from travel with Canada to the States, and then with being on probation for 6 years. And during my comeback when I was wrestling, some of my bigger matches that was stuff I was on probation with an ankle monitor, some of it, and just the amount of work and time wasn't understood when I missed a show or I was late or had a problem because of travel. So just that was something that kind of fucked me a little bit. And then I did a few more shows after that for them, and then we had the show in Chicago. And there was a discrepancy about doing the show in Dallas for another company, and Harry was going to make the show and I was going to do a tag with Harry, and they didn't want me to do the show before the big show because that was their pay-per-view, and that was their first pay-per-view ever they had, I think, with MLW, and I was their main event with Austin Aries. So they said, please, if you could not do that show. Of course, there was no compensation to miss the show, which was fine. I was really happy they were giving me a push, and it meant a lot more in the long scheme plan with me getting a push and then maintaining credibility, and with that company having a little bit of power and legs and friends in higher places. There was a really good opportunity for me to get some ground, some traction, some consistency. And the fact that I had one belt at the time, I think we had 2 belts before that. I had both belts at the same time for a little while, and then I had lost the tag titles, I think, with MJF and to MJF and to Holiday, and both those, like I say, to me, the quality of matches and stuff we were doing was all really good. Everybody seemed happy, apart from, like I say, that one thing. But there was no other reports, and I had some good stuff where they had gone on record of saying how good I was doing and how happy they were to have me in the company, and that they were the projections that they had made with T-shirt sales turned out to be true. That I had ended up selling more shirts than anybody else in the company, and that. So I was excited about all these things, and it seemed to be this might have been the first time where people that weren't fans of mine were starting to see that I was able to rebuild my life and my credibility, and people were getting behind me on a major level. MLW, I think, was still a big deal for what I could, my aspirations and reality or realistic we'll say goals that are obtainable. That was a big goal for me, was just to get back on local or not, local TV, or if it's American TV, to be on a network was big though. To be a champion of a company was huge. To have 2 belts and to be able to wrestle some of the guys I got to wrestle Morris in there. He was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I got to wrestle Pentagon. I got to wrestle Phoenix. Both those guys are obviously some of the best in the world. And even just those 3 matches, I had a bunch of other matches. Obviously, I had a really good match with Austin Aries, but most of the matches I had and the tag stuff I did with Harry was top notch. And it felt really good for me to be able to sink my teeth into something and to be able to think that once his probation was up, I had a company that was going to be behind me. And that whole thing got weird with people, somebody really going out of their way. I think it was her sister, Samantha Fiddler's sister, and maybe 1 or 2 of their friends, but they were really going hard, calling people anonymously and trying to get these stories concocted, or rumors about that I was going to be charged, that I was under investigation, that I was about to be charged, and that over this girl going missing. And none of it was true at all. They just spooked them. And MLW said, listen, at this time, we're apprehensive with getting you going in this direction with you, and we want to basically give you some time off, but keep you under contract. And I said, no, absolutely not. If you guys are not going to use me, then don't keep me under contract. There's no point. I'd like to get my release. And then they just kind of sat around, and then I lost the belt to Myron Reed. And then they, down the road, and this didn't happen right away, but down the road, they tried to set up some kind of heat with Myron that I was upset losing to him. And the only question I had was, why bring me all the way? Why do the big pay-per-view and the big push and tell me we're going to do a run with the title, with the light heavyweight title for a while longer still, and then quickly change their mind and want to drop the title the next week after I just relocated to Tampa, or just relocated to Orlando. So I got that, and I agreed. That was fine. They were going to have the fire thrown in my face, and he ended up doing it kind of far away, the Sheik, and actually got in my eye and fucked my vision up a little bit. And I told him, I said, you guys, I ended up getting hurt on this stupid stunt, which I appreciate you guys making me look good, and I didn't have to get pinned, but at the same time, we've just completely gone sideways with the plan. And I think you guys are bailing out on this thing way too early, and without any sufficient proof from anybody in law enforcement that cares, because this is all bullshit. And they fell for it, and that cost me a great relationship with Court and Conan and MSL. And I don't think Harry's been in a position to really say much since maybe this next couple months. If I could get back to Calgary and do a show or 2 in Calgary, I would hope to God that Conan would take a phone call. He's responded to a few of my texts, which I was happy about, and always happy to just even get a little feedback from him. But he was one of my best friends, and he helped me through some dark times. And this was not dark times for me. These were things I'd gone through, but through some of the really fucked up shit I've been through. He was there, and he got behind me, and he helped me get out of it. And now it's like I did all the work to get to this point where I was free and clear, and I could do all these big things with my life again. And then everything was taken away from me for something I never did at all.
Yeah,
I know. And that's all I've ever said was, if I did something, like I say, I paid dearly for it. I lost my life. I lost my freedom. I lost, all my animals, everything I've ever had. I worked really hard for, and been through the absolute fucking grinder for sexual assault charges that were never backed up with any evidence, and then obviously beaten in court with the judge and lawyer, as I can do nothing but what the law allows me to do, which is defend myself in court with the lawyer paid for. And if it's bullshit, then I get acquitted, and everybody should be happy, and that'd be the same celebration that went into killing my career, or to making it sound like I was such a maniac. But these are not, like I say, these are not nice things. These are not nice charges. A girl going missing, and supposedly confinement and sexual assault charges from 2 women that are just like out there. No one knew this. No one knew the background story of it until it was already obviously in the papers. And just, again, wish it would have been the same, that went to the same attention and focus that went on trying to bury me. If you couldn't, then give it back to me as publicity in the other direction of, then tell them what happened, and this is what the mistake was, and shit turns out not guilty whatsoever, and that I'm allowed to then try to rebuild my life. But I guess I came back to a situation where I created some bad stuff for myself, and went to jail for it, and paid my fines, and paid my my lawyer bills and went to a year, almost I think a 2-year program online, 3 days a week for 2 hours a night, every single, for a DUI class online. And again, with an ankle monitor for 3 years of my life, I wasn't able to take a bath, I wasn't able to go swimming or to jacuzzi. Every match that I did have, I would have to then wrap my leg with a bunch of stuff and pray to God that the ankle monitor doesn't come off. It came off in one match, and I literally had to call a bunch of people and get video footage of the ankle monitor falling off because it was on video, and the probation officer was that smart. She said, send me a video. If you're wrestling, it should be easier for you to get a video. And have someone said, thank God we were doing a customs and it wasn't an actual match because I wouldn't have been able to get the footage of it actually falling off from a match until a few days later, because it would have been having to be, but they had it right there. So they were able to cut it, send it to me, and I was able to then send it to my probation officer. Otherwise they would send someone based on where my location was. They would send an officer to come grab me, and they'd just put me in jail, and I'd have to wait in Florida until it was shipped back to Texas for an ankle monitor violation, which would have been completely bogus. Doing my job is the only way I can make money. So, all the stuff that went into me getting my life back on track, I just wanted a chance to see if that was a possibility, and I felt like I got that completely robbed from me. And a few of the things that came out of that was I met you, and a lot of the guys. I met Jasmine again, and some people came and they said, things are shitty right now, but they will get better, and you just have to keep praying. And this motivated me to put my life back into a documentary and to tell my story, and to think that it would be interesting enough for a major market of people on a world scale to understand about suffering and to have your dreams ripped away from you, but to still be a good person and to still be happy. And it's not a cheesy bullshit talk. It's that I'm still walking proof that I have never been injured in my career. And I'm not saying because I'm such a good person, but I would like to think that it has to do something to do with a few things in life. And wear and tear is one thing. Getting back in the ring, you've been injured because of wear and tear. I understand that. But I've done this for 24 years of my career. I did some of the most dangerous stuff you could do without a hardcore match type of thing, without a weapon or not even that I didn't table, but for what I could do safely on a consistent level for 24 years of my life, and had one little injury and one serious injury. Like I say, and the little injury, like I say, we'll say that would be like a small broken finger or like something like that. And I can't even say that it was a broken finger, so to speak, but little nicks and cuts over the years, those would be considered small injuries. But I was always able to get on the airplane and get back to where I was, except for, like I say, the one time with the broken leg and ruptured Achilles tendon and broken ankle. And I was back from that after 2.5 months, supposed to be out for 8 months to a year. And again, these are things that I wanted to be able to document and talk about from a standpoint of a coach or a motivational speaker or an athlete or a black belt coaching a whole group of kids that have come up now watching what I did, and that I completely changed what the wrestling business was required to do to be entertaining. And that way that kept us online with and the progression of the athletes, the innovation that kept us on track with being able to compete with MMA on a level now where wrestling is back on a market and the guys are good enough, and that AEW made a whole fucking show basically of light heavyweight wrestlers and light heavyweight wrestling. And yeah, they have a lot of big guys still too, for sure, but they really put an emphasis on the lighter, smaller guys being entertaining.
Yep.
And I think that's been fucking huge, and congratulations again. And but again, to me, my job and importance or feeling of motivation or the feeling of that I mattered in wrestling was that I had great matches with a lot of these guys, and I think they saw what I did, and that made them think along those lines of what entertainment was and what risk was and what you could do as a human and get away with as a measuring stick. And I think those are things that I should be proud of, and that's what I motivated myself on, to get up every morning and to try to tell guys like Drake that, fuck man, don't feel like that. I know how you're feeling right now. And so why the fuck did it ever come? Because it's your dream and your passion, and nothing's worse than feeling like you're getting old and you're losing out on the few last years of your good years to get back in the ring and to make a difference and to have some fun and to feel like you had a purpose. And those are things that are fucking crucial when you're sad and depressed and you're getting older and you've given up on wrestling before you maybe wanted to, or that things happened fiscally, financially, that you had to take wrestling and put it into a background or a back burner situation until life got better, and then you're not able to go back to your actual life that was allowing you to make the comeback with wrestling, which is what's happened here now with him. And that's why for me it's a touchy subject, wanting to get back in the ring. and to be able to get back in the ring and to do a lot of cool stuff, or if there's a purpose, is there a reason? And would the documentary that I'm doing be about trying to find that purpose, or is it just the reason? It's just the purpose of being here and alive and accountable and healthy, and trying to pass that information on to a whole group of fans and friends and people on earth that need to be healthy. And here's a way for me to basically do a science experiment on testosterone therapy at a 40, like I say, at 40 years old now, I'm 43, but to see how all these things work without having to get back in the ring and risk getting hurt. My job's more to get back into life and to get back in the gym and to get back into meditation, get back into yoga, get back into stretching. Like, this is my first week next week of doing hot yoga.
Nice.
I'm trying to start doing hot yoga again, and then really cleaning up my diet. Not that I was fasting for the last 3 weeks, just one meal a day, basically, just to get my system clean, to lose some extra weight, and then to try to get a real clean diet and to see, again, the results of all these wonderful science types of, we'll say, not experiments, because I think they've been proven, but all these theories that have now been sort of tried and tested, and to put all this information into I guess we'll say into a big pot, and then to put it all into, and then see how this new flavor of this new soup tastes, which is all these, different bits of information put into this, and then to see what really makes, what do you recover the fastest from, and how much is too much testosterone a week to be taking, and what's a good diet for us? Is it based on your DNA now, because we have ways of finding out things that I didn't know about 10 years ago. Or that my dad, like I say, information with getting sick for like diabetes, or with obesity, or with cancer, or with Alzheimer's, different things. We have different patients that we've been doing studies on. I have been watching and sitting there with a big smile on my face with all these advancements, thinking, shit, at 40, whenever this probation ends, when I get back in the ring, I have all this stuff I'm going to put into the Teddy Hart character. And I think, by the time I'm 42, 43, this will be the absolute best I've ever looked in my life. I'll be able to go back to gymnastics. I'll be able to learn some new moves. I'll be able to take my the fact that I'm in this type of shape and make us count, because now I have this, another 3 to 5 year window from 40 to 45 where I can do maybe 2 MMA matches. I can do a couple pro boxing matches at a level where people are watching me train and going, holy shit, this guy is in incredible shape. His hand speed is phenomenal. He was one of the best athletes before in wrestling, and we had no idea at 40 we could, but then here's another year pass and another year, an extension of probation. It's like, fuck. But I'm still trying to remember those dreams or those goals, or what was keeping me going for the 6 years that I had where I was doing well. And that was the theme in my mind of looking in the mirror and seeing this character, which was a guy that had been through so much shit that never quit. That was just like he was a beast. He was a machine, and he never fucking said nothing. He didn't cry much about anything. He just took the shots he took and realized that God must have a plan, because I should have been in a wheelchair dead so many years ago from everything I've been through. That why do you even have me here then? There must be some reason for this. And I've been through so much that I ask God, I'm like, and he says to me, or the voice says to me that I hear, is patience and put in the work, and that there's people watching that you don't even realize. And this is where you're getting your credibility back, is just even by doing a podcast and being alert and being aware and letting people know what you're thinking about and what you're doing, and that they're out there and they do want to see you come back. And there's more fans. I get more and more fans and friends and people, or friends of fans or whatever, that are able to contact me through some roundabout way because of this podcast. And again, I feel bad because I have the Twitter on Twitter, and I've never been able to even get my own Twitter account back on track.
Yeah, I know. So, and we won't name names, but there's a former promoter that kind of screwed you over on that deal. So
I just hope that he maybe we could find a way of getting that back on track. Like I say, another one of the little things. I have some goals, like I say, guys, with the fact that we got taken off YouTube for an episode or two, and then we got put back on. I thought that was really cool, and it was for whatever reason I got attacked and taken off. Thank God that they really looked at it and realized. Again, I'm not saying anything to try to be a prick. I'm not talking shit to anybody.
We didn't do anything wrong, honestly. I mean, like I talked about before, Drake and I got dinged on our show for talking about the pandemic and all that, and vaccines and stuff, and Google and YouTube were blocking stuff like that. But I mean, on this show, we never talked about anything that was bad. We never advertised anything, or we never sponsor anything, or said we were being sponsored by something, which is kind of what we got taken off for. And it's just somebody probably complained, somebody that probably doesn't like you, and I did some digging, and I had, took me a few weeks to bounce around through different loopholes and different, having to contact them and over and over and over again until somebody finally reviewed it and decided that we did nothing wrong, and we got reinstated, which honestly, I told you before, once you get canceled like that, deleted on YouTube, you don't ever get it back. So the fact that I was able to get it back was a miracle in itself. It's good to be back because you do have a lot of fans. And I do want to read an email from Sean Ricard, who, again, emailed us at rebuildingthefoundationpodcast@gmail.com. Sean wrote, I've been a wrestling fan since the golden age of wrestling. As a young child, been a huge fan of Teddy Hart. I'm so interested to get involved in the business and get Teddy Hart back into the limelight. Make him the superstar he deserves to be. So I'm asking you, how can I help promote him and this podcast? Get some positive promotion and great stuff for Teddy, the podcast, and him in the business. So please let me know. Again, that's from Sean Ricard. So thank you very much for that, Sean. And, I come across a lot of people, whether it's on, YouTube comments on our threads or whatever, of people that just love Teddy Hart, love your style, love your business. Obviously, there's a passion for the Hart family, that people love your family. And it's just another example of, for all your detractors, you still have double the fans. Even if you never had a huge run, you were never a giant superstar. Obviously, you're the king of the indies. But, a lot of people wouldn't know you from WWE unless they had seen you back when you were, 17, 18. But the fact that you still have this major fan base and no real prominent run in a big company just shows how good you really are and how much people like your athleticism and your style, your composure, and the way you do business.
Yeah, I was years ago. I took it very seriously to be kind to every fan that ever came across my path outside the ring.
Yeah,
and so I'm wearing all these flashy outfits as a spider web to catch you to come up to me, and we talk about life and wrestling and God and how you can look someone in the eye from a stranger standpoint and give them love and compassion and feel like I say a blessing that they came up to you out of everything that's going on in the world. And they wanted to come up and they're curious. And I said, curiosity is an important thing to talk about, and it builds things. If you're curious about something, you want to see how it's going to turn out. I was curious, like I say, to see if I had some fans out there and how this would go, and just to put a message out there of love and peace and trust. And no matter how bad the shit gets, this is back when I was with Maria and I was going to jail and I was facing an extra 10 years in jail, and I was still preaching the same thing. I've been saying the same thing for a long time, that Teddy Hart, the character, was misunderstood with Teddy Hart, the guy on the street, completely different person. Yeah. Very, very kind, humble, and understanding and generous. And I've tried to maintain these values for 25 years because those are things my grandfather instilled in me. And I watched him do that to a whole bunch of people all over the planet, and I heard about those stories passed on to me for years. And that's what made him such a wonderful person and so world renowned and respected. Yep. And those are things I thought would be important to pass on to anyone that I was able to be blessed with having company. Company, again, being alone sucks. And when you have company, and I was able to have a lot of different people come through my life, and a lot of different friends that ended up doing big things in wrestling that are too busy now not to be bothered with my shit. But if I was in a spot and I was doing well, running, say, like a promotion, or I was doing something where I could bring some of these guys that were big stars that are now running a little lower schedule or slower schedule or doing less, but they're still able to be booked, to get them back and to have, the memories. Like I got to bring in Scott Steiner for a show, and that was so cool. I really had a great time talking to him about life. It took a few hours for him to warm up to me, and Kevin Nash I brought in. He was fucking awesome. Godfather I brought in, and that's how I met Kevin Nash. Became real close with him, and we became very close friends. I brought him in probably 3 or 4 times, I think maybe 5 times total, and he was the first guy to volunteer to do the 7 o'clock in the morning show. And he had to get up at 7 in the morning, wasn't paid any extra to do it, and went on and did a huge radio show for us and a big TV morning spot for our big promotion that was coming up that night. And those are things you watch how they treat people and how big of stars they were. And I always thought the star you were on the street was the guy that made you in the ring and protected you in the ring and took care of you. And that was the true judge of what guys are always mysteriously wondering about the Teddy Hart character or the type of person I am. Was like, listen, I put my life on the line as a testament, as a judgment call basically to God of like, if I'm in the wrong place at the wrong time, I'm doing the wrong shit, then I'm gonna get hurt doing all of this stuff that I trained years to do safely, and I was able to get away with it and do it and pass this message on. This, again, to me is a universal message of, this is our only body we have. This is our only life that I have that I'm aware of. So information, I'm valuing how to maintain this spaceship that we travel all over the world with, or this galaxy, which is our world, Earth, and I get to travel all over the world. How do I keep this safe? How do I maintain it? How do I reverse some of the effects? Can I clean it? Can I fix it? Can I modify it? Can I go faster, slower? And so that fight, and that to me is a universal problem, is aging in general. So can we slow down the aging effect? Can I make people healthier? Is there information out there? There's so much information that's shit that doesn't seem to be successful, because there's a lot of people obviously that aren't able to take that information and put it into a working model. And not that there's not a lot of stuff out there that does work, but it seems to be that the amount of work that goes into being healthy is so difficult that it makes it almost impossible to do, which I just don't think is right. And that's another, like I say, journey for me as a detective of what works, and to try to put this into a science type of and then get it to kids at a young age. That, Rob, imagine, like I say, how old is your kid right now? 4?
4, she'll be 5 in August.
So you would start teaching her all these things at a young age about meditation and about stretching, and maybe taking her to gymnastics, or to get her eating healthier. Instead of taking her to McDonald's 3 or 4 times a week, you'd have, so these are things that you would think are valuable, because now it's your daughter's health and wellness and her future on the line. Yep. And you'd think, fuck, I want her to do well. How do I do this? And how do I ensure this happens in the future? Well, information's the key to success, and getting the right information from the right source is that's what I'm working on more than anything right now, is to see the long-term effects of being from 20 to 40, and then from 40 to 60. Now, can I make this next 20 years, now that I have all this information, because I didn't have it before and I was able to stay this healthy? What would it do for someone like me? And if it's revolutionary, and it sounds like I say the stuff that we're looking at is game-changing stuff, and if I could put it into my science experiment, my body, and then I can pass that after, and you're watching me use these things to excel, and to take, like I say, a guy that should be beaten up in a wheelchair, crippled basically, who's not, which is a miracle in itself. But then I'm very hungry and curious, like I say, and being important about remember the curiosity to see what I can pass back on to my fellow human beings on the planet. Nothing to do with wrestling. Just has to do with I'm going on a deep dive. I have some time. And I have I think the ability to find out what really works, and then from there pass it on to a really younger, smarter group of kids that become these adults, and, like I say, become these MMA fighters and wrestlers, and would hope to be ambassadors of Earth and ambassadors of the reason we're doing this, and getting up and fighting for the fucking value of life and to be healthy. And again, for everybody out there, that's a battle that each person has to kind of figure out how to conquer that themselves. But it's a reflection in the mirror you don't want to give up on. And I'm trying to find, like I say, peace and tranquility and giving up on the wrestling. But that doesn't mean giving up on me being in shape.
Right.
And that's the balance, like I say, guys. So, but we're watching playoffs. Me and Rob were watching. I was talking about, I love watching sports, and watching the evolution of basketball for me the last few years, because I've been able to, I know exactly where I was when the Lakers won the first time recently, So I kind of followed that and watched LeBron, and everybody said he was, maybe he was done and he wasn't going to be able to come back. And then he had a resurgence this year. And the amount of work that goes into these comebacks, like I say, I watched Henry Cejudo last night. I think he had been gone for 3 years, and he came back and had a fight, and he didn't get knocked out or anything. He didn't win, but he lost a split decision. And just the amount of work, it's daunting making a comeback and doing it right. And the amount of work to be as good or better than you were before, and then to be older on top of that. And that's, again, it's fucking mind blowing. I take my hat off now to guys like Ric Flair even more, and to Shawn Michaels now for being able to come back, or for Triple H too when they came back.
Yep.
And I'm not trying to kiss anybody's ass, but these guys had some major injuries or took a lot of time off and were able to come back and to be better, or to have those type of matches.
Dude, Shawn's second run was longer than his first. It's incredible.
Yeah, I thought it was better too. Maybe
it was. I agree. He had better matches. Him and Jericho had fantastic programs. I mean, Sean could work with anybody.
Oh, he's one of the best ever.
He's always been my favorite. I mean, I'm a Brett fan too, but I mean, when it came to Brett versus Sean, there was no doubt I was a Sean guy all the way.
Yeah, it was funny. Me and Tyson Kidd always kind of were, without wanting to disrespect Brett. I think we appealed to Sean maybe a little more, maybe because he was a little smaller, lighter. I don't know what it was or something, but there was something.
He was flamboyant. He was a showman. I mean, he was a high flyer. He was, but everything both of them did was crisp. Like, Brett was an artist. You can't ever take away what Brett did in the ring, regardless of what you feel about him outside the ring. A lot of people don't like his attitude or he's cocky or whatever. But I mean, in the ring, I mean, Sean was too. Christ, Sean was passed out on Vince McMahon's floor, doped up and all that. But I mean, Brett, like his working punch was fantastic.
Oh yeah, he was. I mean, you're talking about two of the greatest guys in the history of wrestling. So it's again. I don't want to live in that world. I just wish I would got that match with Sean ever and been able to do stuff with Brett and been able to be molded and guided and brought up through a world where they were all friends like they were before I got real serious. I was serious obviously, but when we had the first few years of matches and training, and I was wrestling with Brett and his guys, and we were getting ready for a potential Jay Leno show. We were going to do the Jay Leno TV show or talk show at night or whatever. And do a dark match, or not a dark match, but in your house, I think it was, or some kind of the opening show, beginning match, the kids match. And we were, it was a big deal. Brett was working on that thing, and there was some big things, like I say, over the years of thinking something was going to happen and it didn't, but then remembering all the things that did happen. And again, with people out there, that you have to use, those are the things that you use when your tanks get low and you're fighting for a reason to live and to stay focused, and what's motivation and why are you even fucking caring. And those are, again, the things, like I say, they're the most important things when you're in your head, to climb outside of your head, to look at yourself, and then to find out where you want to be, 5-6 months down the road. And how not to fucking lose your mind and go crazy, because it's, like I say, it's a fine line. It's funny. Our buddy Pete just texted me and said hello to you. He must have psychically heard that we were doing the podcast without him getting it done.
I love Pete. Big Pete's a good guy. Yeah, we're definitely gonna have him on more. And dude, you want to talk about?
I really want to do the podcast, like I say, a little differently in the future, where I can have a set. And this is my house, and I got an apartment set up and a studio, and some people that are good at using this. So it's nice. I was able to finally use a laptop today, or to do instead of using the phone. Yeah,
you look good. You sound good. I mean, people have been bitching about our quality, which it is what it is. But this is actually one of our better looking shows, which is good. But I've had pleasure of meeting guys like Pete and Dwayne and Raul. I mean, we've had some great guys on the show, and looking forward to meeting other guys like Orlando and a lot of other your friends. And JT was on here as well. He was a great guest, and I would like to have the panels, like you said, of getting 3, 4, 5 of your friends on here and just talking about current subjects or pop culture or stuff, whatever, and kind of encourage people, help people, teach people, right? What's good and what's bad. I mean, you have a lot of friends from a lot of different facets of life that have just a wealth of information, and can teach people how to navigate through all the crap that's in this world. But you mentioned NBA playoffs. I'm a big Celtics fan. I'm a Boston sports fan, originally from Connecticut. And as we're recording this, the Celtics lost today by 1 in overtime. But I was never a LeBron fan. I'm an old school Jordan fan. So when anybody tries to compare Jordan to LeBron, to me, there's still no comparison at all. I mean, I still think Michael Jordan's the greatest ever played a game. But it's all subjective. But I got to give LeBron his due. Regardless of how I feel about him, he is one of the greatest of all time. He's obviously the all-time leading scorer. I don't know how old was he? 39, 40, somewhere around there.
I think 39. I think May 38, 39.
And like you said, he made a huge comeback, and the Lakers are up 2-1 over Golden State right now. So I mean, it's just the guy just has that drive, and the best in the world always have that extra edge. They always have something that separates them from others because they're all professionals, but the cream always rises to the top. The greatest athletes, the greatest professionals in the world always have something different than everybody else, and that's just a competitive edge. They want to be the best, and no matter what they do, they still strive to get better and better and better. Look at Tom Brady, 7 rings. The guy gets pissed off when he throws an interception in practice. I mean, like, he does not want to lose. Oh, yeah. I want those kind of guys on my team. I want those guys that are ultra competitive and don't want to get pissed off and get pissed off when they do bad. Where were you on that spectrum? Were you always kind of striving to get better? Did you ever feel like watching some of your stuff back, like, man, I really could have done that better? And do you have that edge, is what I'm trying to say, is you want to be the very, very best?
I did for years. I think that's what separated me from so many other guys. Is also the prep of, I did it at a young age, all those moves. I've been doing those moves. I think I set the bar so high at such a young age that I almost felt bad for myself years later. Like, what more could I really do safely? There's not a lot left. I did almost every single move in the world, or it was one of my friends doing it if it wasn't me. So we had to split the moves that we could do between me and Jack, basically. But I mean, between the two of us, we did every single major move you could do. I think every move that could ever be done basically has been done by us. Yeah. I don't know if he'll ever be able to do more than that. The human body, I think we've reached the level of like a double backflip's about as much as you could do. I think about 3 stories jumping off from the roof balconies to the concrete floor without serious crash pads and different sets and, tricks to be able to make that not really an illusion. It's an illusion if you're tricking it out, but if you're just doing straight cage to concrete, there's nothing you can hide. That's just up to basically God and the guy catching you down below. And True. Like I said, you can find a way of doing that over and over and over and over again. And that's the magic again I talk about with what made us so unique was obviously doing it in the ring safe and clean, but then taking it to the next level and the next level to reach obviously a certain level where it's like, okay, that's about as much as can be humanly possible. And to again, with someone like Owen Hart falling from the roof of a building, you understand there's, like I say, obviously there's only so high you can go. And, that's with hardcore matches, there's only so much you can do. And those guys are fucking killing themselves. And it's really fucking crazy watching that stuff to me.
Dude, Masada lit himself on fire about 3-4 weeks ago.
Really get burned bad?
Yeah, he had a torch at an XPW show and had a bottle, which I'm assuming probably had kerosene or gasoline in it. And they were outdoors, and there was just a little bit of a breeze. And when he blew it, it was too close to his face, and he caught his hair on fire. And still wrestled the entire match, like with 3rd-degree burns, whatever.
Killer.
Oh, he's a badass. Yeah, but that's shit happens, especially when you play with fire. I mean, obviously. But I mean, look, mistakes happen. Even these guys are the best in the world. But like we've seen with AEW, like you said, putting an emphasis back on high flying stuff. The younger guys, the cruiserweights, the luchadors. There's only so much that you can do before somebody gets hurt, and a lot of these guys try just death-defying spots. But I mean, where do you go from there? Like, the first match, they're doing flips and flops and breaking tables. Like, where do you go from there? Eventually, someone's going to get killed. I mean, we've seen people jump off balconies and ECW and other indie places, and it's like people, scaffold matches.
It's in ratings. It's at this stage. It's one of those. And again, people, it's hard to tell guys what's too much. I was never wanting to hear that it was too much or not.
Right. But I mean, you were so fortunate because we've seen plenty of people get horribly injured doing stuff like that, falling off the scaffolds and missing tables and stuff, hitting concrete and all that from 30 feet up. Thank God, you were protected over the years, but at what point is too much, especially nowadays with these young kids that are fearless? I mean, they're like you, but now the bar's already been set and they're trying to raise it. Well, how can you?
Yeah, that's going to be another thing I think that
And the fans are desensitized to it. They're expecting it. And a lot of people had to do, they had a lot to do with the Attitude Era and stuff like that back then. It's like unprotected chair shots and all that. It's just, fans are expecting blood and guts and all that. And since you can't do that now, they want to be.
I'm only surprised that AEW is able to get away with doing so much more than WWE is, because it's the different networks, I guess, because WWE is connected to with Disney, I guess, and whatever behind the scenes. I don't know what the rating system is or what they're pushing towards kids, but
I honestly don't even know if TNT's paying attention to all the blood and stuff that they're doing. But I mean, I know Vince outlawed blood years ago. I mean, even back when Brett and Roddy Piper at WrestleMania 8, he didn't want them to blade, and they did. And they got super heat for it. But I mean, Vince has never been a fan of that. But at one point when his company was, going to go under, he had to go. He had to go that extra mile, and he never wanted to do the Attitude Era. He had to. But we've seen since that he doesn't want to even get anywhere near blood. I mean, Finn Balor got cut open at WrestleMania against Edge, and they stopped the match for 10 minutes just to freaking, staple his freaking head up. Like, that takes everything out of the match. That just completely blows your suspension of disbelief, and it's a Hell in a Cell match. I mean, you're going to stop a Hell in a Cell match. It's supposed to be this big demonic structure to staple some guy's head shut because he got busted open hard way. I wasn't a fan of that. Yeah, that he edged through a ladder at him, and he took a hard one in the face and busted his head open hard way. And they stopped the match and stapled his freaking head shut. Then went back on and wrestled. But
yeah, that's kind of, I can see that taking the steam out of the match for sure.
That's modern WWE, unfortunately. It is what it is. When you get sponsors involved and you don't want to lose them, there's a lot of money. There's a lot of money in it. And, they wanted to go family friendly or whatever, which is fine. I mean, you got to hook the new kids for the next generation. That's what happened when I was a kid, with Hulk Hogan and all that. Eat your prayers, say your eat your vitamins, say your prayers. They have to hook the small kids. They hooked it, John Cena hooked a whole generation of kids too. Mm-hmm. But what do you do now? I mean, there's no real white meat baby faces anymore.
No.
Everyone's a tweener. Everybody wants to be a cool heel. You know what I mean? There's not much character development in wrestling anymore. Is that something you would ever want to work on more if you ever got back, is just character development?
I thought I could be a great agent. But again, maybe down the road there would be some change, or people look at some of the ideas I had, or again, if I could put them into action with my own personal life just outside the ring, and to make some of these things come true and work on. Like, say they gave me a ball of shit, basically left me with that to turn into something.
You could, though. I mean, you have a great mind for the business.
If I can turn that into something, like I say, then we'll see where I'm at in a year from now. That's kind of where this podcast is, just as a monitoring device for me to be accountable and to get up and have something at least once a week that I got to do, and to say hi to my fans and friends out there, and to let them know, obviously, I love them dearly, and that this is a struggle for me to stay motivated and to fight for a reason to live in the wrestling world still at all. Instead of just pack my shit and say, fuck it, this was something that didn't work out, and as a negative thing, but that's not what I stood for. But that's not I want to be, or just to preach the message about the hero or the character that never quit. Then this is something that I've had happen to me, and it's a terrible thing to be lied about and to be cheated out of 20 years of your life or 25 years of your life and goal and dreams and mission, and to feel like this is after everything's been said and done, I'm ready to move on with my life, and now I've been trapped in this reality that was never something that I even did. And that fighting that battle now is the new mission I have.
But I mean, as we've seen, like, there's people that still care about you, people that still love you and are still fans of yours, regardless after all these years. You can't ever say that the last 25 years has been a bust, because you obviously made positive impacts on a lot of people, and changed a lot of people's lives. And through this podcast and the documentary and everything else that you're doing, I hope, we can reach more and more people and give them positivity when things are going bad, or people are down, or they think they're in a bad spot and they can't get out. I mean, they can use you and your friends and other people as inspiration to say that no matter what happens to you, just keep getting up, just keep pulling up your bootstraps. And every day you wake up is another day to have an opportunity to make a positive impact on society, or people. And that, you need to use every day as a blessing, honestly.
Well, I want to just leave the podcast as that this is an absolute fucking terrible fucking crazy world right now that we're living in. And at the same time, there's access to the best of the best of the best food, the best technology, the best resorts, the best places. So fine line, find a balance, and try not to focus on the negative, because I know that there's a bunch of people right now that died for absolutely fucking nothing, that were shot by some fucking nut that went out and shot and those people, that if their death doesn't motivate us to feel just lucky that we're breathing and we're walking around and enjoy your meal today and feel blessed that we're safe, that happened and that didn't happen to us. And if that's fine, like I say, there's things like that every day that I can look at that I can go, holy shit, thank God that didn't happen to me. And I use that as a little fuel to get through my day. And that's what I'm going to say to you guys is, like I say, try to find the high road. Try not to emphasize on negativity. Try not to have that consume your mind where you're just on the reset. And what happened to you caused trauma in your life, whatever it was, and then you just have that same thing, it keeps spinning in your head, and you keep talking about it and venting it to people. You have to get over what's happened in the past. It's happened, and you're aware of it, and it makes you smarter not to have it happen again in the future. But to consume yourself with too much of that, it'll eat you up, and it'll take away your present. It'll take away your present mindset, which is going to set you up for a future to win. And that's, to me, the advice I learned from being stuck in solitary confinement, to being in jail, to having to look in the mirror and it wasn't my fault, and why did I get fucked, God, and why, and those are questions that are going to be answered years later if you get up and fucking do something with your newfound freedom and life. And if you made it past all the shit you went through, well, now you got a clean slate and fucking make it work and find ways to be successful. And I call out every fucking human being on the planet, find ways to be successful and to be accountable and to be motivational to others around you, that you can give a little something to somebody else and that you'd be surprised what that does. A little kindness for someone, a fucking meal, or a open door. Like, I meet a lot of strangers in my life, and I swear to God, I've gone out of my way to be nice to them, and I've seen that come back to me now 10 times, where I've been stuck and fucked and lost and fucking in limbo, and somehow some stranger will come and pay it forward to me. And I think those are the years, like I say, Rob, you're a walking, talking blessing, walking, talking depiction of what I'm talking about. A guy that got to know me through fact and fiction, no, through fucking time served.
Yeah,
bunch of bullshit. I said fact is true, fiction's not. I think that's the way I said it. Through facts, not fiction. I should say. I apologize. Through getting to know someone, through time spent and time served. Because I want everybody to feel blessed that we are that we're right now alive and aware and conscious, and that's, to me, the most important things. You guys, everybody out there in an audience, has to take the simplest fucking things and look at those things as the things to be happy about.
Absolutely right. And I mean, the good thing about you being back in Florida is, you're there, your buddy Pete is there, and, you're close to family, your Aunt Ellie is close by. So, it's good for you to be back around, your people, so to speak. 'Cause I know Texas was tough for you for a long time, but, I'm glad you're in a better place, mentally, but in a better place in Florida too. So, and you guys have a lot you're going to be working on. You're still doing the documentary with JT, and I know you have, like you mentioned, your clothing line, and you also want to get together and have some kind of a training facility. Are you planning to do that in Florida, or was that a Canada thing?
Well, we got the school in Canada that's already up and going, that's successful, that's running right now. It looks great, and we want to do something here. I kind of want to do like a club type of environment where guys can just go film and do customs, and they can whatever they feel they want to do in a facility that allows them to have mirrors and projectors and a place to shower and to change and to do makeup and hair and practice promos and set up podcast rooms and stuff like that. It's more of like a few different green screens I'm thinking will be in the room, a few rings that we can use for filming, and then a place for people to film content, a lot of content house basically for people that are out making money on that stuff with OnlyFans, and not the sexual part of it so much more.
Right. Yeah.
But for people that are out there, there's a few other sites I've heard about that are wrestling sites that I'm going to start trying to get more stuff out there for fans just to see, and it's stuff they can pay to get content, and see if there's a market for that. I
think there is. I mean, as much content as you have now, dude. I really think there's still a market for things that you couldn't normally get. And again, with vlogs and YouTube and even this podcast, people love the behind the scenes stuff too. So, starting Patreons and stuff like that, and being able to tell stories that you wouldn't normally hear behind a paywall. There's still a big market for that. I mean, as much as there is out there, people still want to hear, the gossip, the stories, the road stories and all that. So, that's something that we'd like to do as well down the line is, whenever we can get all this stuff worked out. And, I know you're a super ultra busy guy. It's been 2 weeks since we got together to do a show, but both of us are extremely busy.
Thanks to patience to other viewers out there too. Like I said, just working the kinks out, guys. My whole life is just getting back on track. I never knew if I was going to get through probation. Honestly, that 6 years was a fucking nightmare. Yeah, but a real learning experience and made me a much more disciplined person. It's just, again, like I say, I'm living in 3 different countries. I'm in Mexico and I have some friends in business and property down there that, I could go back and try to live down there and make a career and get back into wrestling, but that would leave me, completely out of the States and Canada forever, probably, because there's no reason to go back if I'm wrestling full time or trying to get that. Yeah. I didn't think that's the smart thing for me to go pretend to be a wrestler right now. I need to get my life on track so I can be. The reason I was a great wrestler for all those years was because I had my life, the real life that I had was taken care of. I had all my shit together so I could take huge chances and do those moves, and I had a fucking clear conscience and I wasn't worried about certain things, and if I did get hurt, it wouldn't be the end of my fucking income stream. And now I have a different level of responsibilities and a different reality to worry about now. I had a different age group, and like I say, time and energy and reward for what I'm doing. I want to be rewarded, and I have never been rewarded as a professional wrestler for pay for any of it. So I want to try to set up, like I say, ways of income streams through wrestling, not even having to get in the ring so much but just what wrestling did for me in the past. It has created any potential, like I say, and that's the documentary revenue stream that might come into this. So hopefully that's what we can use to fuel this next 5 years. Like, again, I can get back to some serious training and to show fans this is what I've learned now from all my experimenting.
People love redemption stories. They love underdogs. We've seen it with Jake the Snake. The resurrection of Jake the Snake was a big deal with him and DDP, and Scott Hall, rest in peace. Before he died, was back on the right track. People want to see people succeed, and you're in that category. I mean, through everything you've been through all the chances you've had, and chances you've lost, whether it be your own fault or somebody else, people still want to see you succeed. I mean, a lot of people want to see you fail, but most people want to see you succeed, and people love a good comeback story, and that's what we're trying to tell here.
Well, I appreciate that, guys. Like I say, I'll get into things that have happened, like I say, through more and more of these podcasts of I really don't believe, and I don't mean to contradict you, I really don't believe I've ever had a serious chance of being a professional wrestler ever since I was 18 or 19 years old. There's never been. I was never going to go work for Impact and not have it be super fucked up. The 1 or 2 times I did get opportunities, the business for me was already such a political nightmare because I'm not from the States. I'm living in Canada. Getting a booking from Canada at that stage, it's such an extra fucking $500 to $1,000 headache for any promoter that doesn't make a lot of money it was very, very difficult. And what happened with Brett and Vince and the Harts and the McMahon family, like I say, that I thought since I was 18 years old, that really in my mind killed any serious, I would have wrestled a completely different style, have been a different person. Right. I would have had to be, but I didn't have that responsibility and I didn't have that opportunity. I don't think it was ever. And I don't mean when people say you're given chances. Yes, I was given opportunities if I wanted to stay in Mexico and make very little money for a lot of years of my life and just do whatever. I don't think even if I'd been a huge star in Mexico, they would have all of a sudden brought me down to WWE and let me work like an Alberto Del Rio type of character that was a Mexican star and it made it in AAA, and then to an extent where some of the things they say that I don't think was ever a Ring of Honor chance where maybe that would have been one of the chances. Like I say, I'll take that one. So that was one of the chances I blew. But with MLWs, like that came to me years and years and years later when I was 37 years old or something. Like all of a sudden now there's a small startup group that I wrestled for when I was a kid that's opening up again. And I don't think there was ever a time, that's what I said with the Teddy Hart character, I try not to be frustrated. Right. Of what's the point of what did I get away with? Why did I get away with doing all of this stuff? What was the point of it? I mean, again, this is the expansion of what the human body and what the human mind is capable of doing, and the suffering that I've been through, that I can still stay here and tell you with a smile on my face that I'm still happy to be here, and that I still think I can be a huge motivational speaker for kids and for people that are coming up that want to figure out the way to making their dreams come true, because I know how to make your dreams come true. I know the work that goes into it. I was not able to do it myself, but I taught a lot of people and I gave people information, and I thought the people that I bet on And you can see where I bet on a lot of these different people over the years.
Yep.
That they were huge successes, and I knew these guys were going to be successes. It's just like I say, practicing what you preach is a lot harder than what people give you, what people understand. So, but you have a wonderful night, Rob. I love you so much, and I appreciate it. Like I say, I really want to talk to Jasmine. So if you see Jasmine, tell Jasmine, thanks for getting me doing the podcast. I know it's, like I say, it doesn't seem like a big deal right now, but I think in the future, 5-10 years down the road, this world that we're living in, like I say, needs to change. And I pray to God that we get smarter, and that for whatever this is worth, that if this takes a little anger out of someone's fucking day, or takes a little negative steam out of their life, because you got a guy like me saying, find a way to smile and appreciate your friends, guys, and your family. Appreciate the smallest little things, like a hot shower and running water and internet, and appreciate, like I say, because these things are, if they're gone and we fucking lose, you guys will watch a whole nother world of fucking chaos. You have no idea all of a sudden about the uncomfortabilities that are not that far away if we fucking lose control of what we are complaining about right now as a world that we don't think is worth fucking saving or worth fighting for. This is a world worth fighting for worth saving. This is all we fucking got. And people really need to hit the alarms on your fucking brains and try to be kinder to everybody out there. And that makes that a universally fucking code, just to be hugs and kisses for everybody type of shit, dude. Be kind and be gracious that we're on the fucking planet, and that we're able to maybe save this fucking thing. And with the next 5 to 15 years of technology, we can restart everything and have everything in a good way. We could be fucking back on top and get this planet working, and make things matter again. Good guys don't always have to finish last. And there is comebacks, and it's not a comeback if it's the earth coming back. Guys that talk about the earth saving this fucking world as a role model. I'm here not about the wrestling anymore. Hulk Hogan, I'm here, Ric Flair, all these guys. I'm talking about getting these guys onto where I can have that talk to them about the planetary awareness of this is what your message was. And now you're fighting for. Ric Flair's pushing marijuana now.
Yeah,
all those years. Imagine Ric Flair all those years. If he wasn't drinking alcohol all those years, he would have been allowed to smoke weed.
Yeah.
All those, fuck, I would have loved. Imagine that. Same with Mike Tyson. I was sure we're now, who are those guys going to be in the future? 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road. Now you got all these guys that are the marijuana guys that are smarter, and we weren't doing all the hard work. They weren't offered, or they weren't given it being done, because they had these guys that told you not to do it before. So
it would have saved their careers and their lives. Too many of the boys died because of painkillers and all that.
Maybe that's another one of the things, testament to my health and wellness, was the marijuana. The impact I used marijuana for, what it was used for me, was it helped me a lot and healed my body, and gave me creativity, and kept me in a certain type of state and frame of mind that I was allowed to believe in the impossible. And that's what, again, I guess what God is that you can't see it. And that's what a dream is you can't see, but you got to do the work and be focused to make sure that when you start building that dream, you can actually make it come into a reality, and then keep that dream happening every day. Nothing's worse than getting to a dream, make it happen, and then lose it. Mm-hmm. And I've had to eat that shit sandwich a fucking few times, and I don't want to have it happen again. So
neither do I, brother. So hopefully we'll get you back on the right track, but nothing but love for you, Teddy. I'm glad we had a good talk tonight and a good show. And we'll see you guys
out there. God bless you guys. Hopefully everybody, like I say, will try to be more consistent with this, and just keep your head up, guys. Everybody out there, we're all in the same fight right now, just to stay happy and just to feel like we have a purpose.
That wraps it up for another edition of Rebuilding the Foundation with Teddy Hart. Thanks, guys, for listening and watching and all your support. We'll see you on the next show. Take care.
Thanks, guys. Love you.
Thanks for listening to Rebuilding the Foundation with Teddy Hart. To keep up with the latest happenings with Teddy, follow him on Instagram at @officialteddyhart. You can also email us at rebuildingthefoundationpodcast@gmail.com. Join us next time for Rebuilding the Foundation with Teddy Hart, right here on the Rad Rob Radio Network.